I really like this guitar. We just started. She ran down to the store because we were a little late getting things started. She's like, uh-huh. That's a 10-minute run. See, we needed just that much more time. I like it. Now you guys can't pick on me. Even Vox said, oh, he's playing Linnell's guitar. This one's not Linnell's. This is my baby. Okay, guys, I'm going to open up the chat. I did get some cool stuff I want to show you guys. So we got 10 people in. I'm glad we did get 10 from the other show. It's always hard because YouTube, it's funny, it wants you to post, but it wants you to post and do stuff the way they want you to do it. So today, if you didn't notice, I tried to upload a short. And what's funny is I forgot to hit record in OBS on the last video. It's no big deal. I have to get used to doing it. So last stream, I recorded the stream on the computer as we were sending it out. So I uploaded that video file into VSDC, did some editing, and I wanted to do some shorts. And the point behind the short was for more people to find the channel. And maybe someone would click on that short. At the end of the short, I had a link to the full video. YouTube won't see it as a short unless I do a certain aspect ratio, even though it's short. We even went to the short upload window to load it, and it still transferred it over to the video file. So if you clicked on that today, that's why it's so short. It's only like a minute long. It was deliberately done that way to be a short.
Steve said you can always download from YouTube.
You can, but my system is very slow.
He also asked what guitar or guitars did you play in your gigging days?
Steve, it was really simple. I played PV. I had 2 PV Nitros. I had a PV Nitro Active. When I first started playing out, that had 1 active PV pickup. It was a humbucker, and it was just volume tone out. Had issues with the pickup, and I ended up putting an EMG 89 in it with a push-pull because it was split. And then I modified the guitar and put a single coil. It's not really in the center position, and it's not really a neck position pickup. It's kind of in between. And I put another volume and tone on it, and that's when I also changed the electronics to run on 18 volts. This was long before YouTube, and everyone said I was going to fry the pickup running 2 9-volt batteries in series like that to increase the voltage to 18 volts. I can honestly say 30-some years later, no issues running 18 volts on an EMG 89. Had no problems with it. Just fitting the extra 9-volt battery was a little tough, but there was enough room. Great guitar. So that was my one. And then I had another PV Nitro that was humbucker single. Another great guitar. Didn't play that one too much. That was more my backup to the other Nitro. Both of those have Kahler 2700 killer bridges on them. Phenomenal bridge. Still my favorite bridge ever made is the Kahler 2700 killer. It's a completely different bridge than they make now. I still think it's the best bridge ever made. And then my third guitar, which was really my second guitar, because I played the PV Nitro Active, and my PV Vandenberg the most. And both of those guitars show signs of love. There's lots of dents, chips, scratches, lots of bar use on both of those guitars. The other Nitro that was humbucker single single HSS, that was a backup guitar, and I think I only played it a handful of times out live. Just if something happened to the other Nitro, that was the backup. I still have all three of those guitars. I don't ever plan on selling any of them because it's part of me. My Vandenberg is a great guitar. I've tried to replace it a couple times. I bought a Kramer Night Swan, exact same scale length, a little bit different pickup configuration, but it has a similar feel. I bought that as a replacement so I take time off the Vandenberg, but the Vandenberg is just a different guitar. It feels different in my hands. It sounds different. It's just, I'm not going to say one's better than the other. I think it's just the Vandenberg is my guitar. Um, I do think it does play a little better. Okay, just a little better. The thing with the Night Swan is it has the humbucker in the center, and it's a different feel. You can't split the coil, so the sounds of the guitar are a little different. So those are the three guitars that I played out with live for many years. Now before that, before I bought the Vandenberg, I did play a Gibson Explorer with a Gigsby on it and the PV. Well, actually, when I first started playing out, I played the Gibson Explorer with a Gigsby and an Ibanez Roadstar 2. Another phenomenal guitar. It was a single with Ibanez's proprietary bridge that they had back then. Another great guitar. I wish I had the Ibanez back. My father bought me that guitar when I was 14, maybe. Great guitar. If you have the opportunity to play an Ibanez Roadstar from the early 80s, mid 80s, they were phenomenal instruments. The Gibson Explorer was a phenomenal playing instrument too. I just didn't really care for the 12-pound weight after 3 sets. The guitar was just so stupid heavy, and the beak headstock and the big thing sticking out of the back, you hit everything on the stage. It was rough. And when I had the Gibson, I was also playing. I had a hybrid amp set up. Now you guys are really going to laugh at this. I had a PV cabinet right there that you see. That is a PV butcher cabinet with 4 Celestion greenbacks in it. And I had the PV butcher head. This was before the VTM. I had the 120 watt butcher head. And in between that cabinet and the butcher head, I had a Fender Twin Reverb amp. And I had the butcher head, and I was splitting my signal with a Ibanez TS9. It was like a tube screamer. But it was the old, not the TS9. Had the big silver button in the center. So I boosted that into the Fender and into the Marshall head. And I played that for about 2 or 3 months. And then I realized that it just really wasn't doing what I wanted to do. And I bought a GSP5 Digitech rack mount processor. I plugged my guitar into that, then just into the Butcher. I played that for about 6 months and bought my first applied research technology unit. That was an SGE unit. I believe it was a Mach 2, an SGE. It had a digital and solid state preamp in it. And that's when I paired that with a Hafler DH200 rack mount power amp. And I played that probably a year and a half. And then that's when I went to the SGX 2000. From there it went completely 8-wall. I got rid of the DH200 Hafler, and that went to our mid stacks. And we had a leftover DH500 from running the bins. So I put the DH500 in with the SGX 2000. I played that for a long time in that scenario, along with the rack mount tuner that I have right here, an RT 1600-01. And I guess it was probably mid 90s when I added the silver piece that you see right there. That's an inline tube amp. And that was just to sweeten the harsh signal of the ART's digital mix. It is a tube preamp, and that was about the same time that the preamplifier was modified in the SGX to use two 12AX7s. A lot of the what was it, MP1 user guys, the ADA MP1 guys, they were modifying their units to use two 12AX7s. So I sent it to a place that specialized in modifying the MP1, and they modified my SGX 2000, just this one, to two 12AX7s. This SGX 2000 is an older unit, and it is completely stock. It has the older firmware in it as well. I could update this one with the new EEPROM chip, just never have. Is there really that much difference in the two units? I'm going to say there is. They fixed a lot of what's called the artifact from this unit to this unit with the updated EEPROM. And of course, with the other 12AX7, it has a lot more throat characteristics. So I guess it was the late 90s when I did the last component right here. Well, somewhere I dropped the Hafler and went to the Pro Valve tube amp. I really don't remember when that was. It may have been before I did the 212. I don't remember. I ran a Hafler power amplifier for many years. And it might be commonplace now to use an amplifier like that because we use IRs, which is cab sims and stuff like that. So it's not a raw guitar signal anymore. It's actually a processed signal like you put a mic in front of it. No one really used a solid state power amplifier for sound reinforcement on a guitar rig. That was kind of unheard of in the early 90s. I was probably doing that in 90, 91 with the Haflers. And the Haflers were indestructible amplifiers. The Transformers in them and stuff, they were heavy as two or three cinder blocks, but they were reliable. And it was a reliable sound every night. If you play tube amps out live, you'll know some nights you're searching for it. And it's not just the room and the drapery and the carpet or lack thereof where it's just all surfaces. Sometimes the input voltage at the bar and the fluorescent lights, it's not always good. So the voltage is down, the amplifier is just acting a little different. The solid state power amplifier took that tube section out of the equation. It was more predictable. But I do like my 6L6. That uses four 6L6s. It's a bulletproof amplifier, power amplifier. I've been running that since probably the mid 90s, late 90s. Somewhere in that ballpark, probably 95, 96, I'm guessing. It's had 3 sets of tubes put in it. And I don't put tubes in it until it fails. It'll start acting up and I'm like, yeah, it needs tubes. And I'll literally not replace the tubes until it just does not work anymore. It did it about a year and a half ago, and I thought, okay, well, it's just done. I need a new amp. And I said, well, before I spend $1,500 on a new tube rack mount power amp, let me spend $200 on some tubes and put some new tubes in it. Put new tubes in it, it come right back to life. So it's a good rig. So that was pretty much the equipment that I used. I was never really a floor stomp pedal guy. I used the Tube Screamer for a little while, and I had reverb in the Fender Twin, and the Butcher had no reverb, and that's what I used. A little reverb, some distortion. After that, I went right to the GSP5 Digitech, which gave me chorus, flangers, delays, compressors, uh, an emulated tube distortion circuit, which everyone goes, oh, you wasn't using tubes. Well, that tube screamer wasn't tube either. You listen to you go somewhere and you listen to that Marshall and it's just driving. Odds are they've got a solid state tube screamer in front of it. So is it really all tube, or am I making a point there? So I do both. Like I mix, the Art here does have a solid state preamp. So I mix it solid state preamp along with the 212AX7 preamp, and I kind of mix the two. So what I'm doing is essentially my solid state preamp acts as the boost to boost the gain into the second stage where I'm getting all my dirt. I'm just not using a floor pedal. I used an X15 that had two expression pedals and a bunch of buttons. Had two of those on stage, minied together. It worked, and it still works to this day. If you buy good equipment, I think you should be able to get a lot of life out of it. But all this equipment that you see in this rack is USA made. It was before companies jumped the shark and went overseas, produced it for a third of the price, and still charged you the same. Hate to say it, that's what they did. When Fender moves from a USA plant over here and they're making it at a lower cost, they don't lower the price to you. When Ford Manufacturing made the new Maverick truck in Mexico, okay, they didn't lower the price. That's not what manufacturers do. I wouldn't mind it if they did it and I saw the cost savings, but they do not lower the price of these instruments. They are saving a tremendous amount of money when they export that product out. Not going down that rabbit hole, but just think about it. If you were playing music when it was still USA made, my rack right here, I don't know if the other camera's going to show it. Everything in this rack is USA made. Okay? When they made that stuff, it was affordable. Was it expensive? Yes, it was expensive, but it was affordable compared to, let's say, TC Electronics. Okay? I bought a Digitech Studio S200. That's what this is right here. It's a Digitech Studio S200. It's a stereo processing. Okay? You could get those for, $400, $500. And it was great for live sound. You could do two independent channels. So you could do your backup vocals and your main vocals on it. You buy another one, it covered your drums. You bought another one, it covered the main, you could put it on a subgroup. That's what a lot of people did. They'd have, if you had 4 subgroups, you had 4 of those. That way everyone sounded the same. That was the hardest thing that I had to do when I went out live. People go, well, you only had reverb. I didn't need any more than a little bit of reverb. That was just so I could hear it. Just a little something. Because the sound guy was putting the effects on back there. I couldn't have all the effects, and the bass player was just playing like it was a TNT 60 PV bass amp at the time. He had nothing. He was a dry signal. So I couldn't have all these effects and then have the bass going in dry. So the sound guy would add the delays and make everything sound like it was in the same room. So my reverb was very minimum on stage. It was a very dry mic signal, and the sound guy fixed all that. Because if everyone's using a different reverb and a different delay and they're all pinging and hitting, and it just ends up sounding like mud out to the audience. You've got to be dry or as dry as possible out to the main mix. Maybe in your headphones you can have your sound. I'm not saying that. But what the audience here, the guy in the back needs to bring everything up together. And a lot of guys would do that in the subgroup mix. So I was able to get away with it. Even in the art, if I go through, if I go through my old settings, you will hear very little effect on the actual sounds that I played out live. The reason was I knew they were going to add on the back side before it went to the mains. And that was done so everything sounded like it was coming from the same area. The bass player didn't sound like he was playing down in a cave and the guitar player was dry. So that was what I played at the equipment that I used when I was playing out. I stopped recording in the studio right when the whole concept of Ghost in the Machine and DAT recording was. If you're from that time, you know what I mean by Ghost in the Machine. You'll see it when you watch Ghost Hunters. They're oh, I've got an EDP. Okay. When you record a bunch of zeros and ones, it does funny things on playback. Okay, especially when this technology was in its infancy. A lot of these little silver units, these line tube amps, were designed to make that sound more natural because it sounded artificial and harsh in DAT and ADAT. Even your hard disk recorders just didn't have a sound. And you'll see it in today's modern recording with DAWs and stuff. Analog just is warmer. So all the new digital stuff, there's all kinds of post-processing going on, trying to warm up that signal, trying to emulate analog or tape, you know. Tape delays. What's a tape delay? Well, you got two heads on a tape. The tape goes across it. It hits the record head, then the tape comes across the record head, and then it hits the play head. That little bit of time that tape goes there you go. That's tape delay. That was how you made delay. You recorded your guitar, it would hit the record with your microphone, and then the playback head would go back into the mix. That gave you your delay. That's why it's called tape delay. I don't know where all this started, but you know, when I was in the studio, that was it. Hard disk recording was just coming out, and DAW just hit the scene. I remember when DAW and computer was hitting the scene, and I was getting out. I had just become a father, and I made a choice just to get out of music. She wants to show off her new shirt, guys. She got a new shirt today.
You have to excuse my hair. It has not cooperated today. Don't you like my shirt? Can you see it? It
Now,
says,
can anyone tell me what that says?
Oh, I'm sure they can. I'm gonna tell you. It says, "Fuck off."
Oh my gosh, she saw this thing. What was it? Temu?
TikTok.
TikTok. She had to order it. Fuck off. That was the one I liked. I liked the picture of the chicken on that one better than the other one. So, I think we do have some questions on Discord, guys. So let me go to the Discord. She said that there was some questions on Discord. So I have to open up Discord. Questions and topics for live stream. Okay. I may not be able to answer this one, guys, because I'm not really too sure what he's speaking of. This is a question as far as what Mikey is showing. I gotta get to the right. Okay. Hopefully you guys can still see it. This is from Mikey. It says, Avery, do you use the sweeteners on the Peterson HD? Don't really know what that is. So I am going to assume that it's something in the functions. The only thing that I do with mine, I will use the sense. If someone brings me a guitar and they're stupid picky and they'll say, I want the intonations so many cents here or so many cents there on the open. If you start trying to do that on the 12th, it's almost impossible because, like I said, as you push on the string, it changes what it sees. But you can kind of watch them play and they'll say, Nashville guys are big on this. They'll want so many cents off on the G or this or that. Usually, if people say that, I will just look at them and say, I will get it as close as I can. If you tell me you want it off 2 cents or 3 cents, I'll shoot for it. And that's what we were doing earlier on the review. If you watch the rotation, as long as you are consistent as you fret the guitar across, okay, and you apply very consistent pressure and you set the guitar up that way, it'll be off whatever cent that you set the Peterson to be off on that particular note. When it goes to the person, if he frets it lighter or softer, it's still technically going to be close. Your open note is what you're tuning to. So if he frets harder, that's going to sharpen all the notes. But the notes will technically, if you take the string above as sharp, it's still going to be 2 cents off of what it should be if it was set standard. If that makes any sense whatsoever. So when people ask me for stuff like that, the Peterson HD tuner will allow you to correct off 2 or 3 cents. It'll tell you what it is. That's about as far as I take the tuner. It is capable of doing so much more than what I use it for. I bought this one because I knew it was extremely accurate, not for all the other things that it's capable of doing. You can store tunings in it. So if you go out and play live, you push a button, you've got an alternative tuning that may be off a couple cents here or there for special chording. It'll allow you to get that special tuning instantly. So that's why I purchased it. So I'm not sure if that's going to answer his question or not. I did see we had one other question. So let me go back to the Discord screen. Keep hitting the wrong button. So I'm loving fun, which that's Vox. Which type of tube is best in an amp for old school country or classic rock? Wow. Well, I can already tell you, Vox, I'm probably the last person to ask on that. I have played EL34s, 6L6s, some other ones. I'm going to say from a newbie, I'm going to say newbie because I don't play a lot of country. I like listening to it and I like trying to emulate it. On the power amp side, I would probably say a KT88. And if I'm wrong, guys, and you guys know the sweet spot for country and stuff like that, I'm going to probably say like a KT88 on the power amp. And I don't see any issues with the 12AX7. There is like an AUX7 or something like that. I think that's just a little dirtier. The 12AX7 can be a very clean tube. It's more about how it's driven into the next tube. I will say though, the 6L6 and the KT88 would probably be my go-tos. And that's not taking anything away from any of the EL tubes. You know, we're kind of stuck. Manufacturers have just shown us these couple tubes. There's a lot of different tubes out there, guys. There really are. How much variation is there in the tubes? There's going to be variation. Can you get a 6L6 to sound like a KT88? I think you can EQ it. I think where you're going to run into a problem is more on the dynamics, how the tube reacts, or the sag in the amp as far as the transformer. And I think a lot of people might confuse the sag versus tube, if that makes sense. The sag is where when you hit a hard note, okay, and it starts sagging, and the transformer can't do it. And it's quiet, you hit it, it'll sag or ramp up. If that makes sense. The lower the frequency, sometimes the more the sag. The transformer just can't keep up with the voltage demand, if that makes sense. They emulate sag on a lot of this digital stuff. My amp has a feel. Some people say the sag gives an amp a feel. I couldn't tell you whether I like more sag or less sag because I play with it on the modeling stuff and I haven't quite really figured out how to model my real rig. It sounds close and it feels close, but it's not close. If that makes any sense whatsoever. I use a modeling amp when I stream, but it does not play and feel and sound like this amp. Is one better than the other? I, if you like it, I don't see what difference it makes if some YouTuber tells you that tubes suck and modeling's the only way to go, or modeling sucks and tubes the only way to go. I think there's a place for both. I can't get this amp to sound like this little THR. It's more, the THR is more harmonic friendly as far as getting squeals and pitches. It is. I can tell when I play it. But it's also more mid-driven, if that makes sense. I've heard this from the Yamaha too, it lacks low end. This amp has a more beefier chug. It's more like it pounds, okay? Another thing is when I play this amp, usually I'm using speakers. Anytime you're moving air, it changes the feeling of the amp. The only time I play this one is usually through my headphones. Now I will say this, when I take the THR and I plug it into the Mackie and I run my Wolfdale array drivers and I crank them, it starts to get that feel. But it's still a little different because the Wolfdales have horns and a 15-inch driver. It's not the same as that 12-inch driver in the way it reacts when it moves and flexes. The 15 and the horn just work differently. I'm not saying it's bad. I like the way it sounds, but I like my tube amp. That doesn't mean that I don't like modeling. I definitely like the modeling for doing streams because there's no amp in the room. It doesn't influence my microphones. I can talk to you guys and I can do it. But as far as which tube is better, I think a lot of that is your pickup selection and how the guitar is wired, whether it's series, parallel, and the type of pickup that you're using. I really do. Nothing sounds like a telly, but a telly. If you like that quacky sound, a lot of different companies make tellies. You don't have to go out and buy a Fender telly. You can buy a Sire. You can buy a Firefly. You can buy a Harley Benton. You know, a lot of different telly or T-style guitars out there. You could buy a Tease from Torsion, or Torsen, whatever the guy's name is. Is one better than the other? I think there's a ton of them out there for one reason. Why does everyone make a Strat and why does everyone make a telly? Well, you're not going to like it. They're cheap to make. They're just cheap to make. There are so many companies that make telly pickups, telly bridges, telly necks, telly bodies. The market's flooded with manufacturers making clones, aftermarket parts. Get on anything, whether it's Guitar Fetish, get on Reverb, get on Amazon, type in telly bodies. 50,000 different companies make telly bodies. 50,000 different companies make ashtray bridges. 50,000 companies make telly bridge pickups and neck lipstick pickups. When you've got that many people making the exact same part to fit one standardized model, the Fender, parts become cheap. Exact same thing with the Strat. Why does everyone make a Strat? It's cheap to make. Just being honest, when you start getting into strange body styles or off-the-wall hardware, like PRS has their own proprietary bridge, it costs more money to make that bridge because they don't make 10 million of them. They're making 1,000 at a time. That's why a Kahler bridge costs more than a Floyd Rose bridge. Kahler's does not ramp up his production like Floyd Rose. Less manufacturers use Kahler, so it's a smaller production run, which increases costs. Since he's making fewer, He gets less of a discount from his vendor when he's sourcing brass and steel. It's just how it is. It's not necessarily that one is better than the other. It's how much they're manufacturing it. Can you buy nice telly stuff and it bring the price up? Sure you can. The gauge of the metal, the chrome plating, all that changes the cost of the part and how good the part is. How much mass does that ashtray telly bridge have? How much finish is put on it? Is it a thin chrome plating? Is it lacquer coated? All these things make a difference in the cost. If you get on Amazon, you buy a $15 ashtray telly bridge, it's going to be made out of some cheaper metal, like a zinc, something like that, and the plating is going to be thin. It's going to be made to that price point. I'm not saying if you buy a $100 Fender bridge, it's going to be 10 times better, but it's going to be a better bridge. Look at what you're buying. And I bring this up because I'm looking for a bridge for my Ibanez. Hipshot makes two versions. They make a .125 bridge, and they make a .175 bridge. The 175 bridge is their high mass bridge. Okay? They're both brass. Now, if I go to Music Lily and I look at theirs is 9 millimeters to the top of the saddle. It's not telling me the base plate. It says it's brass too. For $50 or $80 for the Hipshot. Not all brass is created equal. Okay, they can thin the brass out when they mix the brass, the metallurgy. So don't say, well, it's brass. What kind of brass? What's the mixture? You have to have faith that the Hipshot is going to be a little bit better quality. Is it over the Music Lily Pro? I'm looking at both. The Music Lily Pro high mass bridge looks like a nice bridge. But it doesn't tell you the makeup of the material. How are they making the brass? They're not telling you the actual weight of both units. I know in Hipshot's case, the 1.75 is going to be a heavier bridge because it's a thicker material than the .125. That also can run into problems if your bridge now is too thick and it pushes this up. Now you have to put more negative rake in the neck. That I don't mind. I definitely want the high mass bridge. I actually like a little negative rake in my body. So you need to measure from the base of the guitar to this string and double check. Make sure it should give you a minimum and maximum of the saddle adjustment. And make sure the bridge that you're buying is acceptable. I look on these companies and say, well, it's not a direct replacement. Okay, this bridge has 4 screws in it. As long as that bridge is going to cover those holes, I don't care. I will go in and I'll fill these holes with wood and I'll put the new bridge on and re-drill it. If you're looking for a direct, I'm just going to slap it on and the screw holes are going to line up, it may or may not. If you can't fill the hole and re-drill it, you would probably be better off not doing the modification. It's not a difficult one. I'm not saying that you're incapable. Wait until you feel comfortable, okay? Put the bridge you want on it and mount it. And make sure you keep the scale length right. Just because the screw holes line up doesn't mean that that new bridge and the saddles are going to move the same. I see that a lot. Oh, well, the screw holes lined right up. Well, that's fine. Did it intonate? Is the saddle location and the way that bridge is made the same as the other one? Or does it set forward or back? You may have to shift that bridge. And if it doesn't cover the screw holes, then you're done. So when you're looking at them, you're trying to look at all those dimensions and look at the one that's on the guitar. You can pretty much tell. I'm not saying you can always tell, but look at it. If there's something obviously not to spec, then you know not to get it. That doesn't mean that if you cross all your T's and dot all your I's, when you order it and get it, that it's going to work. just double check your aligned holes. Okay. Double check your intonation. If you're at 25.5 to the center, not maxed out, not minimal of that saddle, odds are it's going to work because you're not going to, there's quite a bit of playroom in that saddle moving back and forth. So set all the saddles dead center in their adjustment and see if you have 25.5 or 24.75 or 25.1 if you got a Paul Reed Smith, whatever your scale link's supposed to be, and see where you're at. If it's not, line it up with the holes and see how close it intonates. Don't bore any new holes. Line it up with two of the holes you may have to bore two and see what it does. It's kind of a crapshoot sometimes. Every bridge is going to be a little different. But I'm looking for a new bridge for this guitar. And that brings me to, and we already had comments in last stream, and the first comment was, I bet you he puts the quantums back in that guitar. And we're not gonna say who said that. I've got some new pickups, and I bought them for my new RGA. Do I dislike quantum pickups? No, I do not. I actually like the pickup. And now you're going, well, if you like the pickup, why are you putting different pickups on it? I want to experiment. I bought this guitar because I want to experiment, and I know this company. And I like the pickups. I like the sound of the pickups. So these are manufactured by Guitar Heads. It is not the same pickup that we used in the White Ash Firefly guitar. These pickups are, I'm going to peel the little plastic off. We used the Z-Buckers in the White Ash guitar. And you guys are following along, we're on our third video. The Z-Buckers are modeled after a PAF with just a little bit more output. This pickup is a hex bucker, and you can see it's got hex poles in it. And it also is modeled after a PAF, but this is a high output PAF. Okay? And you can see right here, they pre-tin their wires. They do a really good job, guys. They do a really good job. Everything's pre-tinned. So that's the neck. And then we also have the bridge. So here's our bridge. I was going to do the double black, but I kind of like the mix. So I think that's going to add a little pop to the guitar. Having that one cream. I like the black on cream. So that's stock. I think it's going to look very sharp. And the cream kind of matches this color that's in the wood grain. It's almost spot on. See that? So I was thinking it would be a pretty cool match. So now that I have the pickups, that's why we were talking about bridges. I'm looking for a high mass fixed tail bridge. I'm either going to go with the Music Lily high mass bridge, or I'm going to go with the Hip Shot half high mass bridge. I haven't decided which one yet. I'm going to put the little piece of plastic back on the pickup. I haven't decided which one yet. So if you guys know of another high mass bridge that locks the saddles, I want something that'll lock the saddles in position so they don't scoot around. Please post in the comment section, or well, you can post in the comment section and also post it in Discord. That always helps. Every comment that you guys put in, it actually does help the AI system push the video out so other people could, discover this channel. So I'm just rolling up the pickup so you guys can't really see it. So this is the box they come in, and of course they're wrapped up in the phone. It comes with the hardware. So this set of pickups, they give me a little bit of a discount on them, and I'm waiting to hear from the guy, Guitar Heads. I did throw a bone out to this company saying, look, we got a YouTube channel. I like your pickups. Not asking for free products. That's not what this channel does. I said, would you be willing to sell us some pickups at cost if I mention your pickup brand, Guitar Heads, and we'll put them in some guitar giveaways or maybe give some pickups away. They did give me a discount, and they said, we're going to check out your channel. I haven't heard back from them. This is a very small channel, guys. So if I don't hear from them in the next month, I'll probably reach back out to them and say, have you watched the videos? Do you think we could work something out? There's not a lot of mark in a $55 pickup. And I'm getting them. I just heard a bunch of noise come into the channel. So it's only a $55 pickup, so it's not like you're going to say, it's not going to be $25 at cost. It's still going to be $45 at cost by the time you ship it at bare minimum. But every little dollar helps. I don't know where all that hum just come from.
Jerry says, Avery, what determines if you need to use short or long legs? I understand it's a depth thing, but is there a standard as far as measurements?
I would just look at your route. I know a lot of the Gibson guys have issues with that. Most modern guitars on the route, you're going to see that there's a route in the bottom of the guitar, and usually where the feet are, they route a little deeper. I guess the quickest way of looking at it would be look at the bottom of the route. If it's one level, odds are you're going to need the short feet. Okay? But if they stepped it down where the screw holes go down, odds are you could use the long feet. That doesn't mean that it's going to work. The best way, Jerry, is just to look at the spec of the pickup, how wide it is, pull the pickup out, and use your calibers to measure down. So on your calibers, this side of the gauge, you're going to see that how this thing pokes out.
You're getting lag.
Yeah, we're also got a lot of noise all of a sudden in the channel. So this right here pokes out. So you're going to run that way out like that, and you're going to put this in the bottom of the route, and you're going to push this in, okay? You're going to push it in until this flat spot hits the top of the guitar. And that's going to give you a distance, a depth on that route. And then I would go to the manufacturer and look at the pickup and see if it's going to fit. That should give you the ear thicknesses, the widths, and everything. The Firefly that we just did, that Devastator's daughter has, that's why those pickups were modified. Instead of it having the square ears, Firefly had little triangle ears. So we had to modify the pickups to fit the route. Just do a measurement. I've heard that a bunch of times. I think in all the years of me doing pickups, I've only had one set of pickups that had an ear problem, and I didn't return them. I just ended up routing the guitar
Jerry says,
to make them work.
Was that a thing in the 80s? Body was made in 86?
Yeah, newer guitars, they're allowing for more variety of pickups. In the 80s, they didn't. I doubt very seriously many manufacturers doing that. Maybe Ibanez. I would say Fender and Gibson, no. I see it more on the import guitars. Japan, China, Korea, Indonesia. Not so much on the USA made stuff, if that makes sense. It was just a flat. That doesn't mean I've opened up some guitars from China like Firefly, and it's a completely flat route in there. So, like I said, I would measure it. But if you see where they've routed a little deeper where the screw holes goes, odds are the long leg pickup's going to fit in it. I don't, be honest with you, I stopped using springs and stuff under it. When we modified the Firefly, I didn't use springs. I just put foam under the pickup. I think the pickup, as long as the piece of foam goes all the way across the route in both directions, the pickup returns to zero and is more stable than if you just put springs on. Even when you put the cone up like this, or you put the cone of the spring the other way, both ways you do it, sometimes the pickup will just hang up in there due to the wire or the friction where it's sitting pivoting on the screw. I just think the foam works better pushing up on the backside of the pickup. So I just run the screw right through the pickup, right into the body of the guitar. I think it just works better, if that makes sense. If you've got a pickup ring, I kind of get it. It's going to spin in the ring and thread the pickup up. Still, I like the foam. I would still put a piece of foam under that pickup, even though it's coming up and down off the pickup ring. Something to stabilize that pickup, get the rattle out of it. You know, it just works so much better. You'll notice those pickups don't sit like this on the guitar. When you start seeing the pickup sitting like this, that it's the spring. It's something on that screws hanging it up, and it's not allowing that pickup to level off. I just think it looks better. You know, it's just more stable. You know, you don't have to worry about it. Does it affect the sound? Of course, if the pickup's sitting like this and it's a humbucker, your one coil's lower. So, of course, that's going to affect the sound. So if it sets level when you adjust your pole pieces, it's setting level. You're going to be more accurate, you know, adjusting your pole. If you want more mid, bringing up your mid poles, you want it to set parallel to the strings, if that makes sense. And your strings aren't sitting on the guitar like that. So I would just measure it. Like I said, I think that's only happened to me once, and I think it just routed the guitar. That's something I don't usually think about unless it's something kooky. We have any other questions, hon?
I don't think so.
All right, well, I covered all my little topics. I just wanted to show you. I was so happy my little... These wasn't supposed to be here till Monday, and they showed up today. So, like I said, if you guys know of a better bridge, those are the two bridges that I'm looking at for this guitar. And I'm probably going to put MusicNGear hip shot tuners on them. I think they look cool. So I want some MusicNGear hip shot tuners for it. And when I do all that work, I'm going to go through and I'm going to give this guitar a double chamfered fret. It's got a very basic fret dressing on it right now. The fretwork on the guitar is really good. I think we had the 23rd fret had some spots, and I think there was one or two barely off, so I'm going to use a fret kisser, clean up those, and just, this fret down here I think needs to be tapped in. There was a little bit of a gap showing. So I'm going to get the frets perfect on it, do a nice double chamfered fret on it, polish them up. I was talking to Steve about it. This is a plastic nut. I'll be honest with you, I don't think I'm going to change the nut. I don't have any issues with this one or Linnell's as far as the nut cut. I just don't know if it's worth knocking the nut off and reshaping another nut when this one's cut so nicely. I get it, it's plastic. People, oh, you're doing all that work, put a better nut on it. If it was causing issues, I may do that. I think I'm just going to leave the plastic nut on it. The tuners are okay the way they are. Actually, the pickups are okay. In reality, the high mass bridge alone would probably make this guitar really a lot more reactive than this bridge. But this bridge, I'm not gonna downplay this bridge. It has little grooves cut in the plate, so these saddles don't move. See, I can't get them to whack out like a Fender or some cheap guitars. That's because those screws set down in that groove and it locks them. They can't move. It's actually a really nice bridge, but it's not high mass, if that makes sense. And I guarantee you that this is some type of zinc. You know, this is one of Ibanez's lower cost guitars, so they're going to save money. Same with the tuners. Are the tuners bad? No. I want some nice, you know, like 21-to-1 MusicNGear hip shot tuners. I love those tuners. Are they the best tuners? No, they're not. If you want the best tuners, I would go with Ratio. Ratio tuners, man. Oh my gosh, those things are like spinning butter. Even on the low E, you don't feel how much tension is on that string with those Ratio tuners. I just have an issue spending $135 for a set of tuners. That's salty. I can spend 70 and get some really nice hip shot tuners. For me, that's plenty good. But if you like Ratio and you don't mind spending the money, it is definitely a heck of a locking tuner. It really is. The Ratio is good stuff. I was just thinking about hip shot for it. So this is going to be my little project. I'm not going to say that it's going to be done quickly. I'm just going to gather some parts, and when I have all the parts, we may do the work. But it's going to be next year. We start doing video work on the Ibanez Gym for Searching for Tone this week. I got one last video, but the guitar is already over on the bench and the work started. So once the last Firefly video comes out where we clean the bridge and set the intonation, our next mod video will be the Ibanez Gym. And I will let the cat out of the bag. The first video is going to be on fixing the neck. The neck is way out of spec. So we're going to address the neck very first. That's going to be our first thing. And that's really the main thing on the guitar is the neck. The neck just seemed like they missed some steps. So we're going to fix the neck on it, give it a really nice chamfered dress ending, and then put the guitar back together and send it back to Brian. So if you bought one of those and you have a similar issue with it, with the rough, scratchy feel on the neck, that video is coming up. It's going to be a lot of cool information in that video. Okay, do we have any other questions, honey?
No.
No?
Steve put a link to a Schaller non-tremolo roller bridge.
Okay. He put that in Discord?
I'm assuming.
Yep. Non-tremolo. Yeah, Schaller. I don't know if Kaler makes a fixed tail bridge or not. I should go check out Kaler's webpage too and see if Schaller. Oh yeah, Vox just put Schaller strap locks. They will be going on this guitar. Every guitar that I really, really, really like gets Schaller strap locks. My one strap with my wireless that has Schaller strap locks on it. And that's my favorite strap because it's 30 years old and the leather's really broken. It's soft. I love that strap. So we will be putting Schaller strap locks, the old version, which if you want to save a little money, the Fender strap locks fit the old style Schaller. So if you just need buttons like me, I already have the locks. They're 30 years old. Doesn't matter. I've got that set and a newer set on one of my new straps. They're never going to fail. They're 30 years old. They're still good. Buy the Fender buttons. They work with the Schaller old style. So I'll be putting the Fender strap lock buttons on this one. Because the Fender ones are $9 and the Schaller ones are 20. And you put them side by side, they're identical. So it makes no difference. So we will be doing the Fender ones on this one. Thanks, Fox, for reminding me about that. Always forget about that. I had to take them off the Schecter that I sent Jute because that guitar had the Schaller, so I put the factory buttons back on it because I'm pretty sure he's not using Schaller strap locks. Okay, guys, it's been a long day for me. Unless somebody has something new to add, I really want to thank everybody for supporting the channel. You guys are great. Today, like I said, I tried to put up a little short video. I'm still learning. It was meant to go up as a short. I'm going to figure it out. So I want to start doing some different things, putting up little shorts. If you watch all my reviews 100%, and you watch the whole live 100%, there's nothing going to be in the shorts that you guys haven't already seen. The point in it is to reach people that may or may not know about the channel, that might just be watching short scroll, and they might see something that interests them and go, well, who's this guy? I've never seen him before. So it's just another way that I can kind of reach some newer people and kind of grow the channel slowly.
Devastator said discuss quantum physics.
Discuss quantum physics. You're asking an engineer. You know, we're not even going to go down that rabbit hole. Because I'm pretty sure Tonewood has been proven to be by quantum physics. I'm pretty sure. But we would have to call the Tonewood professor at UVA, and I'm sure after the quantum physics department and everyone there analyzes it, I'm pretty sure we can finally settle the Tonewood debate. Or even the debate between steel, brass, or titanium tremolo blocks. We could see with a resonant variation between the three materials.
Jerry said design a pickup with a flux capacitor.
We need that. I need that. I want to go back to mid 1980s. That's me. That's the mid 1980s to about 95. That's the sound that I like, and I think when music was just, you could go to concerts and there was just a ton of people, a ton of fun, and it didn't cost an arm and a leg. You know, if you had $100, you could buy the ticket, you could buy the beer. $100 got you the night. Now, holy mackerel! Now the artist gets no money and the tickets are $200. It's crazy.
Devastator said play hair metal, it takes you back.
I do. You listen to my playing, you can tell the kind of music that I hear in my head. As I get older, I will say that I like opening it up a little bit. I like more diminished sounds in my playing, but I'm still have that root of just attacking the guitar. I like the squeal, I like the pinch harmonics, that's my style, but I like mixing in, I'm not going to say a neoclassical because I don't play that way, but if you listen to my lead structures, I don't play up and down the neck. I don't play in patterns. I play the neck, if that makes sense. And I believe that gives me a little bit different sound. It's more melodic. Ooh, thank you, Mr. Trucker Bob.
You got a super chat on your last stream also from Mini Guitar Society.
Oh, yeah. Always try to give you guys the heads up. Believe me, if I don't hit the buttons, it's not that maybe I just forgot. Guys, really, that's what funds the channel. We also got to look towards, we have a guitar already, and this is a shout out to Stefan for donating January's guitar. It's a Washburn. So we're covered for January. So I'm hoping Super Chat money, we can kind of flow into my failing mixer. That's going to be a 6-month payment. It's just part of the show, guys. We've got to keep updating and trying to get better. Once that's done, I'm going to update the computer. How much will you guys see? Hopefully you will see a difference in audio quality and the way the guitars sound, be a little less static. So I think you will see that. As far as the upgrading the computer, I don't think you guys are going to see any difference there. That's more about how much I can produce to get the content out to you. After that, then we're going to visit cameras and stuff like that. So that's the progression of the channel. But we're a small channel. We're under 3,000 subs, guys. So tell everybody you know about the channel. We are trying to grow it. And the more views on the back end, the YouTube money can actually go to stuff like that, if that makes sense, to keep the channel up and going. But you guys get it. You guys know how it works. I don't do this for a living. That's another reason why you get good, honest reviews. I'm not dependent on YouTube whatsoever to pay the bills here. If you guys buy the product, I don't get a penny. If you don't buy the product, I don't get a penny. If Ibanez doesn't like me and Torsion at Tees doesn't like me, it doesn't really matter. I don't know them, if that makes sense. I'm just here to be the facilitator between the product and the people thinking about buying it. I don't want to ever be in a position to where I don't feel like I can't be honest with you guys. That's why I don't know if I could even review a guitar from someone that I'm friends with that's a builder. I don't know anyone like that, but it would be a biased review, if that makes sense. And that's something that we're trying not to be here. I can tell you my feelings on it, but that's not being biased. Because even though I love this guitar, it wasn't 100% on the fretwork. We found a high fret. And I pointed out some things that I found on it. But I still think the guitar is worth the money. Tonight we reviewed an IYV. It had some things going on with the frets, but none of them were horrible. At that price point, it's acceptable. For me, I'm pointing it out, and if you think $170 and that guitar sounds good and you can live with these things, in my opinion, that's a heck of a guitar for 170 bucks. A heck of a guitar for 170 bucks. I would not think twice laying $170 down for that IYV. I just wouldn't. It's a lot of guitar for 170 bucks. And what I was going to say when I was doing the review, $170 guitar, I'm going to say that's the best one we've had on the channel. As far as quality and the stuff that you're getting on it. Nice arch top, decent pickups, decent tuners. The finish on it's good. It's a nice guitar. All right, guys, we're going to jump off here. If you couldn't tell, we released one new video on the Firefly, video 3. We do have one more, and that's going to wrap up that series. Then we're going to move on to the Ibanez Gem, and then we're going to move on to probably a video on the Jet. And that reminds me of the last thing. We have a Jet JS500. Let me grab it. This guitar comes with a really nice Gator gig bag. And if you don't know, you can win this guitar for absolutely free.
Birdman says, "Why don't Torsten like you?"
I don't know him. I don't know if he does like me or dislikes me. What I was saying was, I don't care if he likes me or not. That's not my job. I'm not a sales rep for Tees. Does that kind of make sense? So if Tees or Leo James or Firefly does not like me, it doesn't matter. I have sold a lot of Firefly guitars. And the same token, I have not sold many Firefly guitars too. If you notice the guitar that we say don't buy, they've dropped the price on that guitar again. The Lynch guitar is just a from Firefly. It's just a miss. When you buy that guitar for $310 after shipping, you will be putting a bridge on it. And I think the word's gotten out on it. And they're just not selling. So maybe their other ones are better. I don't know. But here's our Jet. So next week, I'm going to talk to Devastator. Next week is going to be our cutoff on this that you can enter to win. All you have to do is be publicly subscribed to the channel, and you need to go to Discord and go to the opt-in room, the guitar giveaway room, and say, I want to be entered in on the free Jet guitar. This is almost over. We will be spinning the wheel on November 29th. So if you want to enter to win this guitar, please get over to Discord and do it. Like I said, publicly subscribed. And if your name is different on YouTube than it is on Discord, please put in there what your YouTube name is. That way we can verify that you are publicly subscribed to the channel. And you, the viewers, paid for this guitar. That's what the Super Chats do. It paid for the Gator gig bag, and it paid for the guitar. So as long as you guys like doing it, and you like it's like the lottery, the channel doesn't mind. And if you do win the guitar, you're going to tell me the setup that you want, and I'm going to set the guitar up to your preferences. That means new strings, whatever you want. I'm going to put new strings on it and set it up to your preference. I think it has 9s on it now, so if you go to 10s, I don't think I would do like 56 11s on it. But if you like 10s, you know, a 46 to 10 or 42 to 9, I think the guitar would work really well on both of those. Set it up to your preference. All right, guys, we're going to jump off here. Thank you so much for any super chats that were given during the last stream and or this stream. Like I said, that's what funds the channel. Look for another video sometime next week. I am going to do something on Thursday, guys. I know some of you are going to be away, but maybe we're just going to do a live Turkey Day hangout. Just get on here and we could talk about who gained 10 pounds eating too much stuffing. But I think that's the time. I consider you guys family, especially now. Like when I see Trucker Bob now, I got the advantage. I've got to meet Trucker Bob. I gave Trucker Bob a handshake. I give Trucker Bob a hug. When I see him post, it's just like we're sitting out in the parking lot at Walmart and I'm hanging out with him, if that makes sense. I hope that I get to meet every one of you in person someday, because I feel like I've built a relationship with you, and that's kind of what it's about. The Discord and just talking and hanging out. I feel like I know you guys. And I just want to say thank you for supporting the channel and coming and hanging out with us. All right, guys, we're going to do our 5-minute in chat one more time, and then probably be quiet tomorrow because I'm going to be downstairs working on guitars. Thanks again, guys, so much for coming and hanging out.